Hello everybody and welcome back to Odin's movie vlog. I am the critic who is a cynic. Hope you're doing well, and today we're going to be talking about my most anticipated films of 2019. But before I do that, I just want to say hope you are all having a happy and blessed new year, this being the second day of the new year, and I hope everything is still going swimmingly for you. Also, as you can see, I'm not on Rotten Tomatoes like I normally am because I think I'm going to want to start to transition away from using Rotten Tomatoes. Obviously, if I want to make a commentary on certain critics reviews or the critic consensus or audience reviews or things like that, I will definitely continue to use Rotten Tomatoes because in my mind, I still think it's probably one of the best aggregators of it. Obviously, I think that there's a lot of bias on the board as what they decide to put for the critics consensus, and also how they decide to accept various reviews from users, as I have now put in 2 reviews for 2 different movies that have not been accepted because of them screening these reviews. The first one was for BlacKkKlansman. They also just did the same thing for my review of Crazy Rich Asians, so something tells me that there's something else going on behind the scenes there, and I don't want to really give them a lot of traffic because of that. So instead, I'm going to be using a site called Letterboxd, and you can follow me on Letterboxd. The name is quite simple, Odin Movie Vlog. Again, if you want to follow me there, please do so. And this is where you can find my reviews for all the movies that I've seen recently. You can also see me starting to create some lists as well. You can see my top movies of the year, not just my top 5, not just my top 10, but I've actually put all the movies that I really liked for the year in a list. And also, too, you can just see my favorite films of all time. As you can see on the front page here, Casablanca, 12 Angry Men, It's a Wonderful Life, Back to the Future are probably my 4 top favorite films of all time. Of course, that fluctuates over time. And I think that this year, one of my goals is going to be to actually compile a list of my favorite movies of all time in a definitive top 10, top 20, maybe even top 50 list, which is going to take a while. But anyway, Letterboxd seems to be the best way to do that. And so if it looks a little bit different, and I know that you're used to seeing the Rotten Tomatoes scores, this is how I want to handle it going forward. All right, so the way that I have this list breaking down is I have my honorable mentions, I guess you could say, because at this point, these are films that we don't really know if they're going to be good or not. We have some confidence based on trailers, but we really don't know a whole lot about it, so I have it from theatrical release, so it's in no particular order up until my top 5, which I'm most excited for coming out in 2019. So let's go ahead and get started with one of my most anticipated films of the year, and that is Glass. I cannot wait for this movie. M. Night Shyamalan just rocked it with Split. It's really great to be seeing him have this comeback in the theater. Obviously, he went down a very dark path for a long time, just making some really bad movies, some movies that did not get a lot of love, but also, too, his whole tale, his whole story is interesting because he is notorious and has such a history of releasing almost all of his films in January. And January is notorious for being the month where movies go to die. Like normally, the rule of thumb has been in the past that January, any movie that comes out in January is normally not going to be good or has a very high chance of not being good. And M. Night Shyamalan the last few years really has kind of just flipped that on its head. I mean, especially with Split. Split was just a fantastic movie. If you've not seen it yet, please do, because Glass is a essentially almost a sequel to it. It's a sequel to Unbreakable and also Split as well, and it's really cool to see them combine the 2 worlds together, and I really cannot wait to see what they do with this. I mean, James McAvoy gave probably a Oscar-worthy performance in Split, but of course, you know, the Oscars and the Academy members are very stuck-up people, and they don't really look kindly upon movies such as Split. Like seriously, like that is my impersonation, and that is what I think of most Oscar voters these days. But it's got James McAvoy. Bruce Willis is coming back to play the character that he had in the original Unbreakable, and the one that I'm excited for really is Samuel L. Jackson. I mean, this guy is awesome, despite what he might say outside in his personal life. He's an awesome dude. He's an awesome actor, and I cannot wait to see all 3 of these dudes on screen together. It's going to be fantastic. This is, again, in theatrical release, and this one I'm excited for because it comes out in a couple of weeks, so I cannot wait for it. All right, coming up next is Spider-Man Far From Home. If you have not seen Spider-Man Homecoming yet, please go see it. I know that there are a lot of people out there that say Spider-Verse is better than Homecoming. I personally would rather watch Homecoming again than Spider-Verse, but that's only because of the animation style of the new Spider-Verse film. I think that as far as the images go, they're beautiful. Like, the artwork is beautiful, but the fact that there's this jumpy, almost skipped frames movement of all the characters is very distracting, and I feel can really cause a lot of issues with people who maybe have eye issues, and so I really can't recommend it because of that. I mean, it's a good movie, great story, but Homecoming was definitely the one last year, the Spider-Man film, rather, the last couple of years that I have been most excited for. So therefore, Far From Home, which is the sequel to that, is great. Tom Holland has been a fantastic Spider-Man, so I cannot wait to see what he does with that. Jake Gyllenhaal is coming in to play one of the villains, and oh my God, Jake Gyllenhaal is probably one of my favorite actors working in Hollywood right now. After the death of Heath Ledger, he was kind of the first person I went to as far as ones that I really trusted in his film work. If you've never seen movies like Nightcrawler, if you actually doubt his acting ability, go stop this video right now and go watch Nightcrawler, because it's one of the best performances of his career, possibly of the last several years, because it is just that powerful. And of course, you have Samuel L. Jackson, Colby Smulders, and you have the still tie-ins to the Marvel Universe. Really am glad to start to see this Sony partnership that's going on, because Sony by itself with Spider-Man has not really shown itself to be that competent, but the Sony Marvel combination has been fantastic. So it's definitely going to be very excited. Definitely cannot wait to see Spider-Man Far From Home, and this one is coming out a little bit later in the year. Another one on my list of ones that I'm actually really excited for is the untitled sequel, or what we call Jumanji 3. This just looks like so much fun. If you've never saw the first one, obviously go watch the original with Robin Williams. It really is great. But if you haven't seen the second one, if you haven't seen the sequel with Dwayne Johnson, Jack Black, Kevin Hart, Karen Gillan, go watch it. It's a movie that I think a lot of people went in with very low expectations and just came out so pleasantly surprised, because the trailers looked awful. It looked like it would be just a giant mess, but instead it turned out to be a fun movie. And it's a movie that I think a lot of people are going to go pay to see, instead of another movie coming out in December of 2019, and we all know what that is, and we'll talk about that one in a little bit. But nonetheless, this movie, I mean, if it's anything like the sequel was, if it's anything like Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle, it's going to be great, it's going to be fun, and it's always great to have a good comedy to look forward to. Jumanji 3 happens to be that one that I am looking forward to. Another great comedy that I'm looking forward to is Shazam. This is, I said this before in the videos where I broke down the trailers for Shazam and Aquaman, because they both released trailers around the same time. I thought the Shazam trailer looked better. I thought the Shazam trailer made me I was more excited at the time for Shazam than Aquaman. As you all know, my thoughts on Aquaman at this point. Again, C+ movie. Want to go see it again just to make sure that I'm, confident in that score. But this is still a film I'm much more excited for, because it looks like it's taking the concept of Big, which is a hilarious comedy from the 1980s, and combining it with superpowers, and I think that that could be a lot of fun. Hopefully they don't over-rely on that storyline, because obviously I do want more original stories in Hollywood, but Shazam looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. Zachary Levi looks like the perfect choice, the perfect casting for this, and Mark Strong coming in as another villain got me excited already too, because Mark Strong plays great villains. If there's anything that could be possibly kind to say about the Green Lantern film that came out, that terrible Green Lantern film, it was Mark Strong's performance as Sinestro, and the reason why is because he is just a natural villain and he plays the part very well. So Shazam, very much excited for this film to be coming out. Hope that it's funny and hope that it's good. A film that people maybe don't have on their radar unless you're a wrestling fan, and that's the reason why I want to put this out there, is the movie Fighting with My Family. I'm really excited for this movie because not only am I a wrestling fan, but it actually just looks funny. This is a film that's being produced by Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, so that should kind of give you an idea of the kind of movie that it's going to be. The Rock has been on a roll lately. Even his bad movies like Skyscraper are at least entertaining. Like, I hated Skyscraper compared to the other ones. I mean, Rampage was fantastic, and then I saw Skyscraper thinking I would see somewhat of the same type of movie, and just didn't like it overall. Yes, it was over the top and it was meant to be, but it just wasn't that good. This is a lot more close to home, and so I'm very excited to see what he's able to do with something that he knows very well. He knows the wrestling business. Not only was he a part of it, but his family has been a part of it for a very long time, and this is going to be the story of Paige, who's currently a wrestler for the WWE, who unfortunately got an injury to the point where now she cannot wrestle anymore. She was forced into retirement, but they have kept her around because she's got great charisma on screen. So it's going to be really exciting to see her story, the story of her and her brother as they try and get involved into the wrestling business, how they try and get into the WWE, dealing with their family, who are also a wrestling family, but also apparently crazy and eccentric as well. So it's really exciting for me because it's a wrestling movie, and we haven't had a wrestling movie in a very long time, and it's really great. And with the fact that The Rock is producing it and also starring in it, gives me a lot of high hopes that this is going to be a fun movie, not just for wrestling fans, but for non-wrestling fans as well. So put this one on your radar. Fighting with My Family should be coming out next year. And oh man, I cannot wait for it. It looks so much fun. A movie that I'm excited for just based on principle is Toy Story 4. Now, let me just tell you why I'm kind of hesitant to be supportive of this film. This almost didn't make it into my anticipated movies of the year list. And the reason why is because Toy Story 3 to me was the perfect movie. I thought that was the perfect ending, not just to a trilogy, but to the entire story. I thought that you could have ended it there. It would have been a great trilogy. You could have continued to re-release the trilogy and add new special, add new special features, behind the scenes commentaries, things like that. But then they announced, oh, we're going to be doing Toy Story 4. Now, this could be good. this could be a good movie, because obviously every Toy Story film to this point has been good. There's not been a bad one yet. I personally think that Toy Story 2 is the weakest, but even that one I would watch again, and I would definitely watch it with my kids because it is just a good family entertainment film. I mean, so I expect Toy Story 4 to be that. But with that being said, I think that they need to stop making these movies. One, because we are just so overloaded with sequels at this point, and it's time for them to start looking and focusing on new and original concept instead of just making something, running with it for 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 years, which is what this film, over 10 years has this franchise spanned. And I'm excited for it on principle because I do love Toy Story, but at the same time also I'm not really sure if this is going to be a film worth seeing. That's just me. One film, though, that I honestly did not think I would ever be excited for. If you had just given me the IMDb page and not showed me any of the actors that are a part of it, if you had just told me the concept alone that this was going to be based off the Detective Pikachu game, I would have said, this is going to be stupid and a waste of time. But then that trailer dropped. And you heard Ryan Reynolds as Pikachu. And oh my god, this movie is now one of my most anticipated of the year because this just, oh my god, looks like so much damn fun. I honestly cannot wait to see it, only because Ryan Reynolds has proven himself to be an expert at comedy, and to see him take on this role, which is definitely going to be more geared towards kids, because obviously with Pikachu and with the Pokemon franchise, they're not quite at the point where they're going to make a rated R PG-13 film. But with having Ryan Reynolds and having that comic wit that he has, I think that he is going to succeed very well. And if the movie's anything like the trailer, then it's going to be a fun time. Now, could this be a terrible movie? Could this bomb? You are damn right it could, because obviously there are so many things that can go wrong with this movie. But if you watch the trailer, you will be very pleased by it, because Ryan Reynolds, again, has so much charisma and is able to bring so much life to this story, and I cannot wait for it. Again, I'm excited for Detective Pikachu. I never thought that I would ever have the day that I would be excited for it. Another movie that I never thought I would be excited for is Men in Black. Yes, there is another Men in Black movie, and the only reason why it's on the list is because they recently dropped that trailer, and the trailer looks fun as hell. I love Chris Hemsworth. I love Tessa Thompson. I love the chemistry that they have in Thor Ragnarok together, and to see them on screen with people like Liam Neeson, Rebecca Ferguson, Emma Thompson, I mean, there's just such a great cast here that, and the trailer alone too, just kind of highlights the beauty of this cast. I honestly think that this could be really, really good, so I'm very excited for it. And I really have a lot of high hopes for it. So again, Men in Black International. Never thought I would ever want to see another Men in Black again. I really, again, still stand by my statement that I'm just so tired of these remakes and these reboots and these sequels, but this one seems like it's just it's entirely rebooting the series. It's not going to be a direct sequel, and so I hope that what they're able to do is they're able to take the original magic of the first Men in Black and bring it back on screen with new characters, because the problem with the first Men in Black franchise is that Men in Black 1 was great, 2 was okay, and then 3 to me just kind of missed the mark. Where there's some really cool parts to it, yes, but it kind of missed the mark overall. So it'd be really cool to see an overhaul with some new actors, some new blood on screen. And again, if Chris Hemsworth and Tessa Thompson can continue that same kind of of chemistry that they had in Thor Ragnarok, it could be really, really good. And again, the trailer so far is fantastic as well. All right, a movie that's a little bit lower on my list, it is still one I'm anticipating, is Hellboy. So Hellboy is actually a story that I don't really know all that well. I've seen the original movie. I never saw all of the sequel, the Golden Army. But I do really like David Harbour. I really do like his performance in Stranger Things, and so I think that he will probably be a good addition to this. The trailer is very exciting. I like the dynamics between all the different characters in it. You got Ian McShane in here, who's one of my favorite actors. Mila Jovovich is also in here as well. So you have a very good cast, a solid cast to be able to do this type of film. And at the end of the day, I honestly think that this could go one way or the other. It could be really good. It could be really bad. I honestly don't know. The trailer looks like fun, and as long as the entire movie is able to keep that same type of fun tone, I think that we will have a pretty good movie on our hands, so, and that's why it makes it on my list. I know there's other people out there who hated the trailer, but as someone who is not a Hellboy comics fan, because I'm not a comic book reader, just for someone who's seen the movies, this is one of the franchises that I'm least excited for in general. I'm not a Hellboy fan, you know, at my core, but the trailer alone makes me excited for this movie. All right, the last one before I get into my actual top 5, my most anticipated of the year, let's talk about Star Wars Episode 9. The only reason why this movie is on my list, the only reason why is because I am so interested to see what in the hell J.J. Abrams is going to do with this movie. I mean, if you haven't seen it, you don't know who Jeremy Jahns is, go check him out. I'm going to link his channel in this video. But he is a fantastic movie reviewer. He's one of the guys that inspired me to start doing movie reviews on YouTube. And he does a great job when talking about this, because he says that basically when talking about the trilogy so far, the sequel trilogy, he says J.J. Abrams, set up a lot of expectations, raised the hopes of fans, set something up really interesting, and then you had Ryan Johnson come in and just knock it over, kick it all to the ground. And the way he does it is that he cuts in a scene with the Bumpus Hounds from A Christmas Story, where you have this nice turkey, they knock it over, that's Ryan Johnson, and then you have to pick it back up again. So is he going to be able to pick it back up? Is it totally beyond repair? I know that I kind of feel that way, and a lot of people feel that way as well, but I can't stop but thinking, what in the hell is he going to do with this story? The story is such a mess at this point. How is he going to salvage it? Is there going to be a retcon? Is there going to be anything worth saving at this point? I don't know. J.J. Abrams, though, I do like him as a director. I know there's some people who don't. I personally do. So if anyone could have the potential to do it, it would be him, but he has got a crap ton of work on his hands in order to get that through. So that's the only reason why this is on the list, is only because I can't wait to see what in the hell they do with it, and also how much money this makes at the box office, and if The Phantom Menace is going to be able to make an impact that Disney will finally start to hear in the process. That is going to be interesting. All right, so starting with my top 5, these are my most anticipated films of the year. I'm going to try to go through them rather quickly. The first, coming at number 5, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, it's Quentin Tarantino. Need I say more? I mean, you got Leonardo DiCaprio, Brad Pitt, Margot Robbie, Al Pacino, Timothy Olyphant, Tim Roth, Kurt Russell. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on. So Quentin Tarantino always makes movies that have all-star cast, and this one is set during the helter-skelter reign in the 1960s, with the Manson murders, and I think that it could be brilliant. I mean, again, I like Quentin Tarantino as a director. I like him as a writer. He is one of those filmmakers that I follow his career, and I'm always impressed by the work he does, even the ones that I'm not as. For example, Django Unchained, I liked it a lot. It wasn't one of his best, but I still liked it a lot. But then he made The Hateful Eight, which was one of my favorite movies of that year. So Quentin Tarantino, I think it's going to be absolutely fantastic. Coming in at number 4 is The Joker, or rather just Joker by Todd Phillips. Ever since the first images for this film came out, I was already hyped for it. Joaquin Phoenix is one of the few actors, I think, that could pick up the shoes that Heath Ledger left behind. Obviously, we look to how they have just tried to continue on the story in the DCEU by casting other people in the role. And just when you look at Suicide Squad, as much as I love Jared Leto, he is just not the person to fit that role. He just is not the Joker. He's something else. This is something that I'm excited for, because Joaquin Phoenix feels like he's going to fit that role perfectly, and if what we see on screen in the trailers and in these images that we're starting to see right now matches what's in the movie, I think it's going to be absolutely fantastic. Coming in at number 3 is going to be Godzilla King of the Monsters. The first trailer got me hyped for this film. The first trailer that came out a few months ago is just brilliant. I would actually say watch that first trailer. Don't watch the second trailer. I think the second trailer shows a little bit too much, and this is still in my most anticipated. It's still in my top 5. However, I'm definitely a little bit more concerned because I don't want them to have shown too much. I don't want them to have shown their hand a little too much and shown a little too much of what happens and too much of the monsters, because I would have been more excited to not know which monsters are going to be featured or what they're going to look like. And it's one of those double-edged swords things, because you're excited because it looks awesome, but then you're also like, wait a minute, I don't want to see everything. I want to be surprised by certain things. But this looks fantastic. Kyle Chandler, Vera Farmiga, Millie Bobby Brown. I mean, again, you have a great cast. It looks like it is a sequel to the world that was built by that first Godzilla film that came out a few years ago, which some people were disappointed with because there wasn't a lot of Godzilla in it. I actually like that minimalistic approach because it made the eventual reveal of Godzilla that much more powerful. This looks like to be the total opposite, where it's going to be monsters galore, but again, that's always something that could come at a price. But it's really exciting to see where this franchise goes, because I think the first one was a well-written movie, so let's see if this can continue on by also adding in some badass scenes. All right, coming in at number 2, and so this is where it's going to get a little controversial, maybe. Again, if you know me, or if you're a huge fan of movies or any of these franchises, you might agree with this order. But coming in at my number 2 most anticipated film of the year, it is Avengers Endgame. Yes, this is not my most anticipated. This is my second most anticipated, and this is the second time that this has ever happened. So if you were following me last year, I did a most anticipated list at the very beginning of the year when I was doing my podcast at the time, and my most anticipated was Sicario 2: Day of the Soldado, and then Infinity War. Once again, we have an Avengers movie taking second fiddle. And the reason why this is the case, the reason why this is not my most anticipated, is because of what my number 1 is. Still, Still my top 2. The Russo brothers can do no wrong. Every single film that they've had has been fantastic, starting all the way back from Winter Soldier, which to this day might still be the very best Marvel film that has ever been released. Endgame is going to pick up where Infinity War left off. What are they going to do? What are they going to, how are they going to defeat Thanos? What is a defeated Thanos like? Is it him being killed? Is it him having his mind changed? Again, there's so many different directions that they can go. Unfortunately, we already know that there are certain characters that are indeed going to be coming back because there's already films that have been established, but how they come back, in what way, are they the same type of person? These are all questions, though, that we don't know the answer to, and it's going to be very interesting. And it's also the culmination of all of the films that have been released so far, and I just cannot wait for it. The first trailer was balling, and it is definitely the best trailer that's been released so far, and it would have been my most anticipated movie of the year had not I been reminded just the other day that another movie is coming out, another franchise film is coming out, and this one is set to be the last film in its franchise, which makes me even more hyped for it because I never wanted this franchise to end, and that is John Wick Chapter 3. If you've never seen John Wick 1 or 2, do yourself a favor and go see those movies. If you want to see Keanu Reeves kicking ass, if you want to see a good, well-written, action, kick-ass film about hitmen and about this underground hitman universe where there's these hotels and the Continental, it was what they're called, and they're all over the world, and they're where hitmen come and stay, and it's holy ground. And this whole universe is just built, and it's so fascinating and so interesting. And we learned even more about it in John Wick 2. I cannot wait to see the conclusion of the story. John Wick 3 looks like Keanu Reeves is once again going to be on the run from every hitman in existence. So to see him kick some ass and kill a bunch of people is just something I just cannot wait to see. And you will be doing yourself a huge favor by watching the first and second one, and also going to see this opening night when it comes out in theaters. But anyway, guys, these are my most anticipated films of 2019. Do you agree with my list? Do you disagree with my list? Are there certain movies that maybe I left out? Keep in mind, there are movies that I might have a general interest in that I'm planning on seeing, but aren't really ones that I'm extremely hyped for. Every movie on this list, with the exception of course, being, that little asterisk next to Episode 9 of Star Wars, is a movie that I honestly cannot wait to see, and I'm thrilled to go see those films opening night, especially those in my top 5. But I would love to hear your own top 5 movies in the comments below. If you like this video, smash that like button, give me a sub, give me a like, give me a subscribe. It helps me out a lot. And also, if you're getting tired of these list videos, don't worry. These are just to wrap things up. This is pretty much the last list video that I have to make for a while. So please just let me know, though, if you do like list videos, because then I can make more in the future. But if not, don't worry. More content is coming soon. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Have a great night. And as always, God bless.